I'm a fairly confident person, and many would say that that is an understatement itself. However, I'm trying to come across as humble in a society where confident people are mistaken as cocky by the mediocre. So let's get right into this week's video and cut to the chase. We are seemingly living in a world where mediocrity often reigns supreme and is accepted as the norm, and often even celebrated. An example of this is participation certificates. The absence of self-confidence isn't just a minor flaw, it's a crippling handicap. You see, self-confidence is more than just feeling good about yourself. It's a fundamental power tool for success, something to cut through the noise and mediocrity of everyday life. So it could be in things like at work, dealing with people while traveling, arranging an event, or simply doing the shopping at a busy supermarket. Confidence is a tool that helps you get things done. Too many people wander through life anchored by their own securities and societal expectations, completely oblivious to the sheer force of character that true self-confidence can unleash. In essence, they have never really introduced themselves to themselves. And as someone who embodies confidence, I'm not here to coddle you with gentle reassurances, telling you it's going to be okay and things can get better. No, instead, this is more of a wake-up call, a straightforward, no-nonsense guide to breaking free of the bullshit stories that are holding you back from being more of yourself. So I'm going to share 8 habits, 8 behaviors, which I frequently observe in people with low self-confidence and low self-esteem. Overcoming these has helped me scale businesses, transition from industries, achieve great sporting achievements, not really worry about needing to be around other people, and most of all, not giving us stuff, because along the way, when we experience success, when we experience the wins in life, the introduction to ourselves, which makes us feel great about ourselves, it compounds. And that means also that our confidence compounds. What this doesn't mean is that I have all my shit together. I'm human and I regularly have my stuff to deal with. I also assess that the bigger the games and the challenges, well, they entail bigger insecurities. However, when there's a template showing great results, it's easier to lean into that than it is the template of fears and acceptance of mediocrity. So let's get into the 8 points. Number one is chronic overanalyzing. Well, this is like mental quicksand, trapping you in endless cycles of scrutiny over your conversations, your decisions, and your experiences. It's a roadblock to progress. This habit involves obsessively dissecting conversations, options, decisions, or experiences that you've had or you may have, often leading to, as we've heard, paralysis by analysis. So for example, spending hours analysing a brief interaction with a colleague or a friend, or fretting over every choice in a project, doubting each decision instead of moving forward. So take it from my days in the construction industry. I juggled large projects, teams and finances under the weight of immense pressure. There was no room for indecision. Every choice had ripple effects, teams counting on me, clients judging my competence. Hesitation wasn't an option, and I had to learn through lots of hesitation to know that it was a really poor option. So what does a confident person do? What did I evolve into? Well, they assess, and depending on their strengths, they either listen to their gut or interpret the data sharply and make a powerful choice, taking ownership and responsibility for it. Every choice is either a triumph or a learning experience. I'm secure within myself to admit when I'm wrong or when I've made a mistake. And it's very common, almost on a daily occurrence, for me to make light of my errors in order to move on by saying, well, I made a mistake. I made one of them yesterday as well, and it's very likely I could make another one tomorrow. So let's fix things up. If I had succumbed to overthinking and dwelling on all of my mistakes, I'd still be labouring in a pit for minimum wage. Confidence meant making swift, informed choices and owning them, whether basking in success or learning from setbacks. This approach isn't just about decision making. It's a testament to self-belief and the guts, the courage to move forward, regardless of the outcome. Check out number 2. Number 2, lingering on past mistakes. Dwelling on past mistakes is a surefire way to sabotage your future. It's like driving with your eyes glued to the rearview mirror. You're bound to crash. I've seen too many people define their future by the blunders of their past. To me, that's not living. It's being stuck in a loop of regret. So let me share a personal story on this one. When I launched my first company back in 2008, I faced a huge setback, a loss of almost $150,000. It was more than just a financial hit because it strained my marriage and started to cost me a lot more than money because I was obsessing over the mistakes I made leading up to the event. But a friend helped me see the bigger picture. He reminded me of the achievements I've made and also the opportunities ahead, provided I moved on, accepted it, and learned from this blow. The result? Well, the company flourished over the years. It expanded to 3 cities and over that time employed almost 1,500 people. That growth would have been impossible if I had remained a victim of my past, something I observed with many people over the years who just did not end up scaling or removing past what had happened. Mistakes are not just inevitable, they're essential. They are wonderful opportunities for learning, for growth, and realizing that you're capable of much more than your current achievements. Linger on your mistakes and you become one. So let go, learn, leap forward. That's what separates the confident from the stuck. Number 3, worrying about other people's opinions. So I'm sure we've all heard someone say that opinions are like arseholes. Everyone has them. So accepting that an opinion is just simply that, an opinion, a personal perspective. People are never going to have one. For me, the difference is what's coming out of that person or that arsehole. Some people live on a diet of slop. What they value, their beliefs, their behaviours, their environment, their goals, and so much other toxicity. Don't let these people impact your own confidence with the verbal diarrhea which flows from their lips. Remember, not all perspectives are created equal. And I've lived through this. We all have. For instance, when I started my adult journey, I wasn't a product of the formal education system. Heck, I barely scraped through school and everything I did was unconventional. There was opinions from everyone, criticisms, all of that stuff. The amount of unsolicited advice and opinions I received was staggering. Poor people giving me their opinions on money. The unemployed or employee-minded people giving me opinions on how my business should be run. Risk-averse people advising me, who is a risk taker, that I'm being reckless and taking too many risks. Then there's the compliant and the cowardly people offering me their opinion on how I should do things when I'm a bit of a rebel who loves adventure and challenging the status quo. So it sounds absurd, right? Yet, for a while, these opinions affected my decision-making process to the point where I was starting to lose my confidence. So, here's the reality. Most of those who offered their wisdom are now either miserable or stuck. They were voices of the status quo, scared of anything that deviated from the norm, the safety and the security. So I've collected enough data over the years to show me this. 20 years is a long time to look back and observe where people are at based on what they were offering. So I learned to distinguish whose opinions mattered. If they're not someone I respect based on how they lead their lives and how they face and overcome challenges, or someone I even aspire to be like. Their opinions were just noise. Today, I value insights from those I admire, the achievers and the rebels, not the naysayers. Everyone else, all those other people, their words might as well be wind, whispers in the wind. Confident people listen but are not swayed by every passing comment. They filter, analyse and then decide if it's worth their attention. Remember, it's your life, your rules. If the opinion doesn't come from someone who matters, it should not matter. Don't let the noise drown out your inner voice. Because confidence is about trusting yourself, not the chorus of doubters. Number 4, relying on external approval. So Relying on external approval is like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in it. It's never ending and it's unfulfilling. There's a saying that goes, confidence is silent, insecurities are loud. And this rings especially true when it comes to seeking approval or validation. Confident people let their actions speak for themselves. They know their value and they don't need others to affirm it. Some people are accustomed to constant pats on the back. They struggle when they step into the real world where validation is not handed out like the participation certificates I spoke about earlier. I've learned to keep a distance from such individuals. They often become energy vampires, seeking endless reassurance. And you know what? It's just tiring, really tiring to be around them. We all want validation. It's part of our makeup and something the little child who lives inside all of us craves. However, let's be clear. There's a vast difference between wanting validation and needing it. Confident person, someone with genuine self-esteem, doesn't need constant approval. Sure, it's nice to receive, but it's not a necessity for self-worth. The responsibility to feel good about oneself lies within, not with others. And overcoming this need for external validation is simpler than you might think, because it starts with self-awareness. Pay attention to your inner narrative, the stories you're telling yourself, the conversations with yourself, and ask yourself, why do you need others' approval? Is it filling a void within you? And then shift that narrative when you're able to catch it more consistently. Embrace the belief that the most crucial validation comes from within, comes from yourself. This shift won't happen overnight, but gradually, with patience and some self-compassion and a kick up your own butt, you can become the source of your own approval. Because remember, you are the author of your own self-esteem. You are the authority of it, not the audience. Point number 5, measuring against others. So comparing ourselves to others is a trap that can diminish our self-worth and cloud our perception and our achievements, ultimately robbing us of our confidence. So I've been guilty of this myself for more of my life than not. And despite my successes, I've often overlooked them, always chasing the next big thing. It's a frame of mind that's both motivating, yet it's undermining. Early in my journey, I looked up to the greats, the masters in whatever I was interested in, placing them on a pedestal and myself in their shadow. I was putting them up here and me down here. The goalposts, they were never fixed. It's like I just kept raising the ceiling as I was getting closer towards a special place for myself. And this constant upward comparison made my achievements, they felt inadequate, no matter how significant. So it took a toll on my confidence without me even realizing it. And the key shift for me was to start comparing holistically. Instead of always looking up, I began to look back, sideways, forwards, all over the place. How far I had come from last year, the last 5 years, or even 2 decades ago. And this retrospective comparison was a game changer. It allowed me to appreciate my journey and to stand on the shoulders of my past self and use that as a launch pad for future ambitions. So for those addicted to social media scrolling, be mindful. If it makes you feel inferior, remember you're viewing a curated highlight reel, not the full story. So start by comparing yourself to your past self, and then what small step you can take today to improve just 1%, and then build on that. The rest is entertainment. Everyone's journey is unique. Measure it against your own yardstick, not someone else's highlighted reel. Otherwise, you risk staying stuck in a fairy tale. And remember, real confidence comes from within, not from the external comparisons. Because when it's genuinely set within, the natural course is to then empower others for their benefit. Number 6 is overlooking personal well-being. Well, that's like running a car on an empty tank, because eventually you're going to break down. You're going to get stuck. And it's not just about physical health, but mental and emotional balance too. Common things, skipping meal, I mean, we all know this stuff, skipping meals, overworking and sacrificing sleep. They're all a surefire way to burn out. And let's be honest, a burnt out person can't exude confidence or be effective in any sphere of their life. In my world, balance isn't just about splitting time equally among all of life's aspects. It's not a perfect 50-50 or a neat 25% across all categories. That's an unrealistic and frankly a neurotic approach to life. Balance is about allocating time and energy where it's most needed to restore harmony. So for instance, before a vacation, I'd cram 3 months worth of work into a few intense weeks. I'm sure many of you have done this. The trade-off, less family and social time. But this paves the way for an undisturbed time off. Similar when it comes to the Christmas rush in the construction industry. Work took precedence, knowing full well that a restful period was around the corner where I can catch up with social interactions and all the family stuff. I've had phases of intense work and then periods where I completely go off grid. And I make a point to be there for my daughter, one of the very few dads at her school who is always there for her significant moments. Or just to simply hang out with her because I want to. Now, if something feels neglected, I lean into it, even if it means shelving projects or taking spontaneous solo trips for mental clarity. Saying no and setting boundaries are crucial. I've skipped events I was really looking forward to because I felt drained on the day I just didn't want to go. So there's no point in showing up as a fraction of yourself. I see so many people doing things out of obligation, living as if they're not in control of their own choices. And then blaming. A simple exercise is to draw up a circle, divide it into segments, representing different aspects of your life. Work, family, hobbies, alone time, social life, fitness, whatever it may be. See what's getting your attention and what's being neglected. How does that make you feel? If it's unbalanced, how can you shift some energy into the neglected areas? Remember, you're not trying to make it all equal. You're just trying to fill up a tank. Confident people take care of themselves first, not out of selfishness, but so they can fully be present and then give selflessly to others without shame, without guilt, resentment, or even anxiety. It's about being whole so you can bring your whole self to every part of your life. Number 7, failing to celebrate your individuality. Suppressing what makes you unique is like erasing, rubbing out your own personal signature from the world. It's a disservice to yourself and to those who would benefit from you and what you can offer. While honing my public speaking skills, my natural style, which is fast, animated, expressive, it was criticised. Some suggested, offered their opinion, that I tone it down and speak slower. I can't even speak slower. Stand still and be less of me. Now, why should I? I'm Greek. Passion and expressiveness are in my blood. I'd rather speak quickly and with fire than dull my spark to fit someone else's idea of a diluted normal. You listen quicker. So one of my highest values is autonomy. It's part of my identity, and I've never been one to follow the crowd or suppress my quirks. So in hindsight, it's my quirks which have given me some of my best results. Embracing my individuality has allowed me to stand out rather than blend in. So it's about leveraging what makes you unique, not muting it. Your quirks are yours. They're what makes you memorable, what makes you you. So embrace them in all their glory. It builds self-confidence. You'll find that the opinions of others soon fade into insignificance. You stop comparing yourself, overanalyzing your behavior, seeking approval. In essence, you stop giving a damn about the inconsequential. Truly confident people, they don't feel the need to constantly prove themselves. They're confident with who they are, quirks and all, and they embrace their individuality. So celebrate yours. It's not just about self-acceptance. It's a powerful statement of confidence. When you fully embrace who you are, you liberate yourself from conformity and step into a world where your uniqueness is not just accepted, but celebrated. Point 8, I spoke a little bit about this earlier. Hesitating to set boundaries. Would you leave the door of your house wide open and allow anyone to walk in and take what they please? For me, that's what not setting boundaries looks like. Your time, energy, and respect are precious commodities, and it's crucial to manage them. Learning to say no is not just about refusal. It's an assertion of self-respect and confidence. Many people struggle with this. They either can't say no, or when they finally do, they overcompensate, sounding pompous and entitled. And that's not confidence. It's insecurity wearing a mask of fake assertiveness. And in my experience, if you need to explain your no with a long-winded justification, it's not assertiveness. It's an apology in disguise. Confidence in saying no is succinct and respectful. You don't owe long explanations or justifications. If you want to be polite about it, a simple no, I appreciate your offer, but I must decline. My priorities require my full attention right now. Very nice, isn't it? It's enough. It shows respect for both yourself and the other person. And about those energy thieves, we all know them, the ones who drain your energy with their constant negativity. It's important to set boundaries with them too. So be clear about what you're willing to discuss and what you are not. If you're tired of hearing their woes and their problems and their let them know you're more interested in the positive aspects of their life. You don't want to talk about that stuff. Setting boundaries is not just about saying no. It's about defining the terms of your interactions to protect your well-being and peace of mind. Confident people, they set boundaries not to push others away, but to maintain their own integrity and their respect. So that's the 8 behaviours. You know, are there more? Geez, I had to make it shorter by putting 8. I could have put 800. So in wrapping up, it's clear that confidence isn't just a trait you're born with. It's a skill practiced and forged through deliberate choices and actions. Each of these 8 points we've discussed isn't just a guideline. They're a guide to help you become more confident and a more assertive self, from refusing to overanalyze every decision to embrace your individual quirks. The path of confidence is about recognizing and eliminating the things that are holding us back, holding you back, holding me back, holding people back. It's about understanding that your past mistakes are lessons, not anchors. It's realizing that other people's opinions are just that, opinions, not directives for your life. It's about finding the right balance in life, not just in work and family, but in every other aspect which makes you whole, which fills your tank. Moreover, confidence is about setting boundaries. I find this one of the most important ones. It's knowing when to say no and doing so without guilt or lengthy justifications and validations. It's about recognizing your worth and refusing to let others undermine it. True confidence is not loud or brash. It's the quiet assurance that comes from knowing who you are, what you stand for, and what you won't tolerate. So, as I conclude, remember, confidence is an ongoing process of self-discovery, self-acceptance, and self-respect. Go and make mistakes in practicing it and honing it. You know, I often come across new challenges where I catch myself questioning myself, and I slip into these behaviours. And in that questioning, I identify where the doubt crept in. Living confident isn't always easy, but it's worth every step. And each time you release a limitation, you free yourself to be a better, more confident version of yourself. So that one wraps up this week's video, the behaviours that I've observed around people lacking confidence. Like I said, there could have been many, many more. And until next week's, which I'm going to start making these a bit shorter, because they're only meant to be 3 to 5 minutes long each one. And I think they're all going for, I don't know how long this is going for. Until the next one, take what you will.